Community Matters.
Hello, and thank you for joining me today. I'm your host, Gal Swisa Cohen. 3 years ago, my family and I moved to Long Island with a clear mission: to serve as the living bridge between the people of Israel and the incredible community here. Out of this journey, I created The Israeli Bond, a podcast designed to tell the story of Israel and its people beyond the headlines. We are here for the authentic, the personal, and the direct stories that bring us close together. This podcast is a production of the Holocaust Memorial and Tolerance Center of Nassau County, New York, and it is thanks to their vision and support that this content is brought to you today. And let's begin with two incredible women that are here with me today, that they are from our community here in Long Island that decided not to stand on the side and really start acting. So the first one is Rosanne Bogard. Can I call it Rosanne or Rosie?
Whatever you want, whatever's easier.
Okay. She's a clinical social worker and educator with over 25 years of experience. Rosanne, or Rosie, manage a private clinic and is leading the program Chazak for special needs. And since October 7th, she is working relentlessly as humanitarian entrepreneur for IDF soldiers, Nova survivors, and the families of the hostage families. With the organization, Kadima B'Yachad, that Rosie with Michelle started together. So Michelle Herman, our wonderful guest here with us today, she's a social worker with an MA from Columbia University, okay? Correct me if
MSW, yeah.
Yeah, okay. And over 30 years of experience in treatment. She's devoted her career to help families in crisis situation and supporting communities like the LGBTQ and other communities in this area. And as I said before, Michelle and Rosie started together the organization Kadima B'Yachad. How do you translate it to English, by the way?
Moving forward together.
Moving forward together, which is an initiative that gives emotional support and treatment and tools for trauma survivors and their families that got affected from October 7th, right? Am I correct?
Yes.
A little bit of what we do, yeah.
Yeah. I know. So basically, I presented only the general rules or the generals of Kadima B'Yachad, and I want you to really help me to go deep and understand what's going there inside. What's the one thing in Kadima B'Yachad that really differentiated from all the other helping organizations that we saw after October 7th?
Sure. I mean, I could start. So thank you. Thank you for having us. We're super excited. I'm also a high school social worker, and I work at a sleepaway camp in the summer. So we're really in the business of helping others. But after October 7th, neither of us knew what to do and where to start. And I think Kadima B'Yachad just really came from a place of wanting to make a difference. So it started with knee pads and helmets and tourniquets and really just getting supplies over to Israel. We were both separately doing this. Duffel bags that I was getting from camp families, and separately we were sending supplies. And what happened, we were driving to the airports and we started meeting moms of lone soldiers, and we started to talking to commanders and lone soldiers. And all of a sudden one day we were having a conversation, and we realized it's not just about the supplies, it's the connections that we were making with the moms, with the soldiers, with their families, with anybody and everybody just wanted to talk and realize that they were not alone here in the United States. And what turned into dropping off duffels at the airport then became almost counseling sessions. We would sit and talk to the moms for hours, and then we would come home and we would see them again and then keep in touch with them. And we were both doing that at the same time. And I think one day we had a conversation, and I'm like, Michelle, we got to do more. Michelle said, we have to do more. And it turns more into counseling and connections and speaking with moms and wives and soldiers and siblings from all over the world, really. And that's how I think it really started. We just kept pivoting. Supplies, everybody started doing. Barbecues, everybody started doing. We were donating, we were helping. And then it was just the one-on-one connections that made us start Kadima B'Yachad.
Yes, should I want to add?
Yes, and so thank you for having us. And so if I can add, Rosie and I, after raising money for equipment and helping get equipment, decided that it was important that we go visit Israel. So we did go in like a few months after October 7th. We went back and we were in the front line, so to speak. And like Rosie said, would meet with someone who maybe needed a helmet for her son at the time. This was before we were officially Kadima B'Yachad. And so we'd connect them with get them a helmet, raise the money, and then the mom needed one-on-one support. So we started an online support group for family members, wives of lone soldiers, Miluim, whatever it was. And then we would realize like that their child needed maybe a program or a job, and we would connect. So Rosie says connections, there's the human connection, and then we've been able to connect people to communities where they are locally. So we have the diaspora community and the online community, and then, like the community of wives who never met but all live within a kilometer from each other in Israel. Now all know each other. So that's really how it started. And we initially, we were getting donations, so we wanted to be transparent. We wanted people to see where their money was going. And then, of course, naturally, we went towards support and retreats and different morale-boosting events, which we do also here and in Israel. And so initially we said we just wanted the legal transparency of being a nonprofit. And then we just started really growing. And now we have 7 volunteer therapists. We have touched over 3,000 individuals directly. We sent food. We are helping a mother go see her lone soldier child in Israel through connecting them to local services. And then also we help supplement some of the fees. And it's amazing. We're like training our trainers in trauma, getting them professional development. And so
I'm trying to understand what is exactly in all the sea of organizations, and there are a lot of organizations that work in this sphere after October 7th, thank God, okay? What would I go for Kadima B'Yachad for?
I think what makes us different or unique is that we are, number one, fully transparent. We don't take a salary. Everybody's volunteer. You would come and you would say, I have a friend who has a son who possibly has PTSD or is really struggling. What can you do? Who can you connect us with? We'll speak to the mom. We'll speak to the son. We'll make connections. If we can do it, we'll meet with them. We'll give them support. We will assess if they're okay. But the best part of after October 7th are the silver linings of the people that we've met, the connections, the agencies, the organizations. People are starting to recognize us, and we're able to make referrals. We're able to say, oh, there's an organization in Tel Aviv that can help you, or just as simple as organizations and helping send a cleaning lady if her husband has been in reserves for 500 days and she's alone with her children, then we will connect them with someone to just come in and help her watch the kids, maybe go for a massage, any sort of connection. And I think what makes us different is that we are completely transparent. Every dollar that we fundraise, we will show you where it's going. And our mission changed a few times because the needs have changed a few times. So I think that to say one certain person to come to us, I don't know if we have one, we're not like pigeonholed into one thing. Wellness retreats is, we had wives who haven't seen their husbands for a long time. And in Israel, we had them together after how many days? I don't know.
200.
After 200 days, they hadn't seen their husbands. And there was a wellness retreat that we provided in Israel, full day, yoga.
That we ran and went.
Yeah. So really, it changes. It changes with the needs, and there's so many needs that we're open to helping. We've had the craziest requests, and somehow we've been able to figure out how to help. So I don't know if it's a specific person. Yes, lone soldiers. Yes, counseling, wellness retreats, moral boosting events. Very often, a Nova survivor will call us and say, "I want to get my story out. Can you help us?" And yeah, we'll help you. And we've done that. And we've had families of hostages who just need us to bring maybe clothing back to the United States,
meal.
a kosher meal, or
come here.
amputees, and anyone really. There isn't just one. It's anybody impacted by war. That's really our mission.
Right. Sorry.
Yeah, no, go. Yeah.
So that's what I was going to add is anyone impacted by the war in Israel, globally around the world. We have had mothers from South Africa reach out to us because they can't share with anybody that their child is serving in the military in Israel. So they're very much so alone. So when we have a group of women who can come together, and connect around the globe, there's something very impactful. And so our mission is, that we help anyone impacted by the war in Israel from a global perspective through global support, through therapeutic programs, morale boosting events, and different workshops, raising awareness. So like Rosie said, we bring speakers here.
So it almost sounds to me, tell me if I got it correctly, that you're kind of a hub of connections, that if someone who was affected from the war in Israel needs something, everything, and they don't know where they can turn and get this help because it's just like some random help, they can come to you. And since you're transparent with everything you do and all you are doing is trying to help regardless of the topic or regardless of what type of help is needed, with a more treatment-focused mindset because of who you are. Am I getting it correctly?
Yes. And I'll also add that everything we do is through a Jewish lens. So we bring in, whether it's Tehillim or support, we bring everything through, rooted in Judaism when we run our programs. So we've had a Hafrashat Chala, where soldiers from Israel came. And so we bring in the power of blessing and prayer also here, not just to the people in Israel impacted by war. We get calls all the time from people here. I just don't know what to do. I feel alone. Is there anyone I can talk to? They can volunteer. So the ways people can come to us is if they need support, if they would like to volunteer, and of course to donate. We don't have to go, you can go on our website and see what we spend our money on, or you can contact us. We do provide direct and indirect services. And for example, the women in Israel who happen to be the group of support group of wives of Miluim, they all made Aliyah and moved to Israel about 20 years ago. English is their first language. It was very difficult for them to navigate the system in Israel, even to find an English-speaking therapist. And so they were too much in crisis in the moment. And what we hear often is it's too difficult to translate into therapy and not your native tongue. For me too, in Hebrew, it's difficult if I do that. And so they found it so powerful. And so after meeting for 12 sessions, which is about once a month, I'm finding that they're then more able or have the tools to connect to their more local services now. Yeah. So we are also a bridge for people who are having a tough time accessing support.
Yeah. So you touched upon the language barrier, and this is that's also a question that I had. So when you're giving a social treatment or the retreats, most of the people in Israel are not English speakers. So I wonder if it's mainly to English speakers kind of retreats, or it's also Hebrew speakers retreats, and how do you bridge that gap?
So So it depends on where the program is. We did run a retreat for Nova survivors in Tel Aviv. They happen to have all been English speaking. I speak Hebrew. So,
I will one day.
so it does work. There's also, when we do stuff here, of course, there are Israelis, Americans, people who aren't even Jewish, allies who come to our
Wonderful
events.
allies, I have to say. That's something that we've really, really been lucky. We have a lot of allies that want to help and participate and join us. And I think that it's turned into a lot with the lone soldiers. So they typically do speak English unless they're from another country. But even if we don't understand some of the terms, which for me, everything's very new for me, like the roles in the IDF or, the difference between a reservist and military. I mean, I have a whole list of vocabulary words that they taught me. And they think, it empowers them. Like, we don't have an ego in any of this, right? So if we don't understand something, we just ask. For me, it's sometimes the soldiers that we help that don't speak English, and Michelle will just work with them and don't speak English, right? Yeah. So Michelle will help. But, I think it's worked. I think that what made us, and I keep thinking about what makes us stand out, and I think Michelle and I talk about this a lot, is the connections that we've made and the people that we've met. So very often we'll get a text message. Someone said that you or Rosie can help us, you or Michelle can help us. And it's random, food shopping or a wheelchair, or people will just reach out to us. And most of the time we're able to figure it out. And I think that's what makes us different. And sometimes, ChatGPT is really good for translating. Google Translate. It's, it's a gift. We're able to cut and paste and really figure it out. So we've been lucky in that sense.
And also just, to expand on answering your question, when it comes to the one-on-one support and people are reaching out, so we do have an Israeli, our first fluent Israeli and American volunteer therapist. I work really hard to with the intake and to match a therapist with someone. So sometimes I have someone who says, it's important that someone gets the Israeli culture, even if they don't speak Hebrew. Sometimes people will say, I need someone who speaks Hebrew and English. So it very much so also depends on the needs. With the groups, like when we ran a retreat at Rome Farm in the north of Israel, my husband's also Israeli. He ran the men sessions. He's part of our team. Oh, wow. And he ran the men groups. He's fluent. I was able to, before we started, there were staff on the retreat, so I was able to bring someone in with me. My Hebrew is enough that if I don't know a word, I could explain it. However, it's more when people are using the therapeutic terms that I may have a hard time understanding. So there's usually someone in the group, like Rosie said, who it's very empowering to be the translator, or we just get someone from the place. So we do take that into consideration because, like Rosie said, we become family. We really do. And so when we went to Israel to the hospital to do sponsor lunch in the unit where they're all amputees, young amputees. So, we meet them there. Then they come here because they get their prosthetics often in Hicksville. And so then they come here. So they need housing, kosher meals, a place to stay for Shabbat. And so we're helping to organize all this.
They need connection. They need to have a friend, someone to take them shopping, take them to the mall. And it's
or their mom to the mall.
Right. And it's sometimes things that people don't think about. And we get to think about it because people reach out. We're lucky. We're lucky in that way.
We're blessed.
And
we're lucky. And I'll say, like, one of the moms, Rosie understands Russian and Polish. So one of the moms spoke Hebrew and Russian. So Rosie took her to Roosevelt Field Mall, and then I helped organize, the family to stay with the rabbi's family for Shabbat. And now we're organizing, people to come clean through a local synagogue. Your husband's involved in helping make this happen. Organizing, like I said, a kosher meal for the weekend that comes from a kosher kitchen and is delivered. So we'll see someone and then it becomes like a web. And then, we're providing a service for the mom and connecting the brother with a speaking engagement and food for the son. And a swimming pass. Like we connected this young man who came for his prosthetics with the JCC, and Rick was gracious and let him come, so now he goes and swims there. So
yeah, people want to help, and I think that we just have to figure out ways that, and we've been able to figure that out. Yeah.
Screening is important.
Screening is important, making sure that people are doing it for the right reasons. As even last year, I had a whole group of families who needed bar mitzvah and bat mitzvah projects, and they asked us, and they said, "How could we help?" And every project was different. One of our bar mitzvah boys packed up items and we sent them to Israel. Another one made bags for women soldiers, for the women soldiers. And it's just people want to help us and they're willing to be a part of our team. And the more the merrier for us, and we're so grateful for it. But every day, just listening to, we put up a mezuzah. We have a family that we worked with who had their family members were held hostage. And when we walked in to visit her, we realized that she had to move from the kibbutz. And we put a mezuzah on her door because she didn't have one. And, we do a lot of...
Mezuzahs, raised money from mezuzot and on army bases in Israel. And we do that here too.
I what's most amazing about this story is that you're giving service in both directions. First, for the people who needs help, but also for the people who wants to help. And sometimes this is itself a very important mission, because I remember that after October 7th, so many people wanted to help. How can you help a state in trauma that is across the ocean? And you're creating this bridge. If now after our conversation together, if I can sum it up, you're creating this bridge for people to help to other people, and this, in the background of all this war and October 7th and everything that happened. And I think that's the power of what you do, and that's the uniqueness maybe of what you do, because you have that many connections, and because you're a one-stop shop of duo force. I don't know how to call it.
Yeah, I feel like we do that. I feel that it was very lonely here after October 7th. I don't know about you, Michelle. We've lost friends along the way. Living in New York City has been difficult. Amazing. I live in Forest Hills, and so things have been really, really tricky. We've lost friends who just don't really understand the magnitude of what happened on that day. And we've gained so much. And so when we have an event, like a moral boosting event or a fundraiser, and we look around, like our last fundraiser, people were talking about it for days, and it was more because they needed it more than we did at that moment. Yes, it was great. We were able to fundraise. We had great raffles. But the love in that room, we had Holocaust survivors. We had your entire team of Shinshin. And then we had people from all over that we have met and we have picked up along the way in one space, and we were dancing and we were celebrating. And I think that's what people need, and that's the connection. Those are the moral boosting events that we provide, maybe for here. And that gives us the energy, and that gives us it helps us. It helps us, get excited and want to make a difference. And we hope it's contagious, right? We hope that other people want to do it with us.
And, and just to go back to the bridge, Kadima B'Yachad is, we laugh because, everyone asks how we came up with that name.
Yeah.
And so Kadima B'Yachad, which also is another way that I think sets us apart, is that we truly are all in this together. And unless we're coming together as a community from South Africa, Israel, America, wherever, if we're not all in this together and then we're not going to make a difference. Then we're not going to be united. Then what's going to happen to our people, right? And so, Kadima B'Yachad, there are some words in Hebrew that I find just don't translate in the correct way. And I think Kadima for me is one of them. While it means forward or moving, it's also a term I know that the army uses, like Kadima, or when we're ready to move forward or let's go. And B'Yachad means together. And so it was really hard for us to come up with a name, especially being New York based, because Rosie was like, I can't even say this. And
I practiced a lot.
and one of the things I'll share is we had a whole car ride of repeat after me, B'Yachad, B'Yachad. And it's,
How do you
it is
say
a
it now?
challenge.
B'Yachad.
I
did it. Kadima B'Yachad.
She's got it. And we don't care if you say it right or not. The point is that we truly, truly believe we are all in this together. When people send us things that they're doing, or, vice versa, we don't discriminate. We don't say, oh, we have something on the same date, or we're doing something. We say, great, we're all in this together. What can we
Let's
do?
figure it out. Yeah.
We truly, truly, truly feel that and believe that.
Okay, first of all, love it. I love it. But still, I wanna try to dig a little deeper, and I wanted to take me to beyond the stage, okay? Because it sounds like from your story, it's just like a miracle. Everything's so easy, and everyone are joining in, and it's so like everything's so easy, so wonderful. But I would want you maybe to tell me a story of how much work is needed and what maybe the public or the people who listens to us does not understand of what it takes to do such process, like making the connection, making the retreat, all of the processes that you're involved with.
So I'll start with bitachon and emunah, which I'm becoming more and more familiar with, which is faith and security. The belief that, I have become more in tune with my Judaism and tapped in. And so I feel that's a big part of, yes, the making the connections piece for me and Rosie comes very naturally. And the hard parts are that we do rely on only fundraising because we do have expenses. We are helping people. We're sending food. We're whatever. You can look on our website or on our social media and see all the stuff
We've
that we
gone
do.
to zero, and then we've raised it up. We have done that. There definitely has been a time where someone asked us for something, and we had to prioritize, which we don't like to do, right? And we've gone into our own money or have asked family, and people have asked us for things, and we never want to say no. So we've had to even, figuring it out and how somebody else can help us or another agency could help us until we raise that money. It's been hard. I think something else is that we didn't mention, we both work. I work full time. Michelle has a private practice. We have a family. This is night hours. There's different hours that go into when we're speaking to
The
people in
time
Israel. The
difference in
time
Israel.
difference is tough. The first year that we did this, I don't know, we didn't sleep. We would get text messages 3 a.m, 4 a.m. We never wanted to miss an opportunity to help somebody. So I think that that's a big part of, it wasn't always so easy. And there was definitely times that we made maybe a poor choice of like where to spend money. And then we're like, oh, now we know for next time. Or a fundraising idea that we thought was going to be amazing and it wasn't so great. And so I think we've learned a lot about what works, what doesn't. And people are tapped out. This has been going on a really long time. And from what we're seeing out there is sometimes even an event that costs $18 to come in, we're not getting as much, or $36, or we'll compare and say, wow, that gala just asked for $500 a person and we can't get $180, but at that same time, and then, then we just let people come for free because we want them to be with us. So I think to keep this fundraising going, we're going to have to keep going, whether it's grant writing or doing things. So I think that's where our struggle is a little bit. And sometimes Michelle and I don't know how to say no. Right?
I do.
She does. Okay. I don't know how to say no. And she'll say to me, no, that's not in our mission. That's not in our mission. We have to get it from you. And we have to be creative because we also have an accountant that I have zero contact with. Michelle's the boss there. And will tell us that's not in your mission. You can't do that. And then I'll say, well, I'll figure out how. We'll figure it out. Maybe it won't be from Kadima B'Yachad. Maybe we'll figure out how to,
Or we connect them to another agency
right.
that can do what we can't. Some of the other challenges, well, first of all, has been being in America when there's so much of the, political or what I'm going to just call ignorance. in terms of people not knowing what's going on, or even just thinking it's over. The hostages are back. They don't realize that there's still an active war going on in Israel, that the people in Israel are still living in fight or flight mode and in crisis mode.
And the hostages' families.
And so the healing, which is part of this, and a challenge for me, which I've been able to, learn along the way, is that everybody gives differently. That some people prefer to give in money, some people can give service, some people don't want to give, some people want to, and so that's okay. And so it's really taught me that everybody comes from a different place, and that's okay, and that we don't judge. However, it's become a little challenging in terms of outreach. Like with the last fundraiser, we wound up having almost 200 people. It was fun, beautiful time. You were there. Up until about 10 days before, we had only 100 people. And so it's more of the logistical stuff of like getting people to commit or, and so what we find is that for me is where the bitachon and emunah come in, where I say, okay, Hashem, make Kadima B'Yachad be a vessel for whoever needs it and where we're best served. And
I'll bet, Michelle, did you pray?
And really,
is it going to happen, Michelle?
We'll say that day, like, it happens, it comes. And, and so I am blessed that I have family in Israel and I travel in Israel. It's my priority. I've done this before October 7th. It sustains me. And so when I go, it's very easy to make the personal connections there with the hostage families, with whatever. And so from there, we've had to, one of our challenges is also, like Rosie said, how to prioritize. Who fits, we try to serve mostly underserved. So people where there aren't government services, or the Haredi lone soldier whose family may not be in contact with him anymore, like connecting him with services or with us, or, and so, yes, it evolves. Yes, we are able to say no. However, we don't like to turn anyone who needs help away. So if we can't provide the service, or it's out of our limitation, we'll refer, or we'll work really hard until one of us, and Rosie knows everybody, so she always has a connection.
So you gave me a great segue to my last question for you today, that I want to understand. So for the people that listening to us right now, what is the best thing? How I can help? I've heard this entire conversation. I'm totally in Kadima B'Yachad, if I can pronounce it. But let's say I can pronounce it, and I want to be part of this amazing organization. What do you need from me? What is the best help that I can give you right now?
So first, you have to be able to pronounce it. No, I'm kidding. Just kidding.
That's the first screening.
Honestly, you just have to have, you have to have you want to do something, a spark. We could, like we said, maybe you have a community and you want to host, someone's coming in from Israel who works with the amputees and they're doing a tour. Maybe you want to host a talk. Maybe you want to host a fundraiser. Maybe you want to volunteer.
Maybe I don't know what I want. I just
maybe
want
you
to
don't
help.
know. You can just talk to us.
You can talk to us.
And
We'll
we can help.
you. Yeah.
Maybe you don't even want to be involved with us. Maybe we can connect you with a synagogue or something that you need. Like I've had people come to me and say, I'm lost, I don't know. And I'll connect them with one of my rabbis that I feel like is a good fit. So sometimes you just need a mezuzah. Sometimes you just need to, often I get calls from people who just got back from Israel for the first time. And they're like, I just need to feel the Israel. Can we do lunch? Can we do something,
Look, I think that education is key also. So there's a lot that you can teach us, or at least me too. Well, both of us really, because we don't live there. So I think anybody that wants to help, there's a purpose for everybody. We're true believers. We don't turn anybody away. We're both, something that we never mention, but we often do, is that we're both grandchildren of Holocaust survivors. And I think that that's really a lot of where this comes from. So we knew that we had to do something. We knew for our children, and then for the generation in front of us and the generation behind us, we knew that there was no silencing us, right? We were loud, we were proud, and we were making a difference. We weren't sure how. Eventually it turned into Kadima B'Yachad, but if you want to help, we'll find a way for you to help. We will find something that you're good at or a skill that you have that can help us. And it really, just showing up in itself helps us, because it means a lot. It shows us that we're all in this together. We're not alone. And you may know somebody that can help us too. So
the practical is to go on your website, go on social media, contact with you to whatever. And of course, if you can, donate.
For sure. We have lots of work to do, right? Even $18. But somebody in my community asked, how can I help? I haven't been vocal. And I said, send this message to your chats, all your group chats, and just say, I know these, two girls, Michelle and Rosie, and they have a non-for-profit and they're looking for donations. And if everybody in your group chats gives $18, you've made a difference. And if it's something specific they want to put it towards, we'll make sure that happens. Recently, we were collecting money for something. We put it out there. We had enough donations and we closed it. And we said, thank you to, and we named them. They helped us do this, and it worked. And that's something you can do with your friends and family, and
Amazing.
That's helped.
Amazing. Michelle, you want to add anything?
I just also wanted to add that a very simple thing that everyone can do to help is to just be kind. Right. Let's live. So many people don't know, the Jewish values that we live by, and it's all about kindness and lifting other people up. And so when Rosie says we've been loud and we've been proud, we have been. And I'd like to say we've been graceful doing so, because we're not nasty, we're not arguing. I joke that one of my rabbis is anti-Semitism. Because it's not that he's anti-Semitism, but the point is, when we're fighting back and forth, what's that doing? And those aren't always the people that want to make a difference or bring more light. So just live the Jewish values, live with kindness, do an act of kindness a day, whether it's a smile. It doesn't have to be giving money, whether it's a smile or holding the door.
We're not ready to give up on humanity. We're not, and no, we won't. And it's not, yes, Jewish values, of course, but it's really humanity. It's everyone's values, to be nice, to be kind, to be brave, to really be the best that you can be as a human. And I think that really what sets us apart also is that our allies, they see that as well. They see that, they do. And we want the world to see that. And it's hard right now. It's tricky. And, I understand when the rabbi says, stop fighting anti-Semitism. But the reality is, I think education is so key. So one of the things that we do is we do bring in people to a Holocaust survivor, a lone soldier, somebody that wrote a book. We're doing our planning of our event for October. And it's really about educating and understanding terms like Zionism and apartheid and, all of those terms that people aren't understanding. But we do it in a way where it's not combative. We're not trying to fight. We're trying to educate. And that's part of who we are as people. I mean, there's the only way forward is together with everybody. And that's who we are.
Kadima B'Yachad.
For sure.
And, finally, I'll add that Rosie and I always wear I'm not wearing it right now, but our Jewish, a Magen David, a star, a chai, something, a map of, we're visibly Jewish if you look. And what I find is that more than being loud and proud, it holds me to a standard of behavior. Because I know that when people who don't like Jewish people or don't know, or may even just have a misconception, see that. And if I can be kind, I'll go out of my way to be kind, to make a difference, to just live, as cliche as it sounds, but to just live as the change I want to see in the world.
We need to
And
build
that's it.
bridges. That's it. We got to build bridges. We can't break them down. More light, more love.
Yalla Kadima B'Yachad.
Yalla.
Yalla,
Yalla.
Kadima B'Yachad.
Purchase some of our cool, fun swag
Yeah.
we have.
We do have that.
So I would sum it up to go on the website and go on
sure, on our
social media
website.
and be kind.
And be kind.
And Kadima B'Yachad,
For sure.
I am totally into this phrase. In Hebrew or not in Hebrew, I love this
We have
phrase.
a T-shirt for you. Don't worry. It's in Michelle's house. You got it.
Great. I would love that. So thank you so much, Michelle, Rosie, for coming here today. It was incredible conversation on my end, I'm sure on the listeners' end. And I learned a lot. And I am amazed by your power to push through, even though it's not your, as you said, it's not your like main job. It's like the after hours job, but it became like a full time.
Sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Passion.
A passion, and it's just inspiring to see it. And I'm so glad that we got this, to do this together and give a stage to this incredible initiative, and hopefully many people will hear us and they will get engaged, and Kadima B'Yachad, we will, I don't know, go to the future, to a better future, move forward. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So thank you again
It was
so
an honor.
much.
It's such an honor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And
All
thank
this
you.
work is an honor. Really.
Yeah, and I'm so thankful. And thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Israeli Bond on hmTv. If you enjoyed this conversation, be sure to check out our other podcasts here. Subscribe, share, and stay tuned for more engaging conversations. And until next time, take care and be well.